Good morning. You know, one of the things I look at when I see my own charts, especially after I go through a couple red days, in which case, about a week and a half ago, I was just obliterated myself on red days. And I start to think, do I have too much in the chart or not enough? And when you look at my screen, it seems like it's pretty obvious that I may have too much stuff on the screen. In reality, I don't actually use all of this stuff. When I have my initial setup, which I just did for going into today's Monday session on the 11th of May, it seems like I'm just covered in indicators and lines, which once I'm in the trade, it actually works out to my benefit. But setting up what I'm looking for and what I want to see without trying to predict the market, I do actually remove all this stuff. And it made me think this is sort of what I should create a video about, is when you have too much, do you think you have too much, and what you should have. So if you look at my chart, it's primarily just the overnight highs, lows, previous day's highs, lows, and value areas. This is all very good standard stuff to have on your chart, as this tells you where the market has been and where it's likely to react again. And that likely to react again point, that mark, that's oftentimes where I'm very interested. Beyond that, you can see here I've got two EMAs. I have the 14 and the 50. That just gives me general trend direction. Or sometimes if I see the lower time frames are inverted, the higher time frames I have yet to invert, but they're starting to curl, it tells me we might be looking for a reversal going into the later part of the day. I have the VWAP, which is always solid to have, as that's the volume weighted average price, where usually at one point it's going to go back to see what's going on there. And then I just have sort of general volume down below. Now, on the right side of the screen, you can't really see it just yet, but I do have pivot points still. They're not, I would say they're sort of a secondary tier indicator that I have. I don't pay too much attention to them unless they're the only mark on the screen, or I add them for a second and third confluence for an entry. But before we get to all of that, I set up my charts. It does look like this. It looks a little crazy at first, but this is my next move here. So on my left, I have the 15-minute. On the right, I have the 1 minute. So when I'm trading, and I'm actually already in the entry, I'm really paying attention to this side here. This is what I'm looking at. Not even so much the EMAs. I do like to know where I am in compared to the VWAP. But am I bouncing off of a value area high? Am I getting double confluence? Like here, you can see where Friday's premium is now the VWAP. That is a nice double confluence, right? We're getting a small amount of current temporary rejection there. Are we saying that that premium is still holding and we're rejecting under the VWAP? I mean, we're going to go down at that point, right? Do we get across on that point of control, continue to the overnight low? You can sort of see where I'm going here. It allows me to set up either obstacles or targets or entries. But that's when I'm in the trade. Before I'm in a trade, I have to look for where I'd like to trade. And that's sort of when I use simple price action on the chart, medium time frame, just using the candles. So we're going to just do that right now. We're going to go back to just one screen, and then we're going to hide everything. I'm going to take everything off, and then I start on my larger time frame, right? I'm going to look at the daily, which we know for a long time now has just been parabolic. Right, you can obviously see here, all right, this is a great point at which it one day could retest, but God knows when that's going to happen. We're just bullish. There's not a whole lot to say that we're going to curl off the daily and retest, but I do like to know where the daily is. So one thing I will do is this is going to bring back all of my lines, but I do like to have just the daily down. I just use two simple yellow lines. And again, this is oftentimes for liquidity sweeps or for trend continuation. I'm going to hide that back. So, all right, I got my daily, very bullish candle. We're starting here Monday morning right at the high. We have a small sweep of that daily, it looks like already. So there's a good chance, right? I'm going to look here at 942.50. Maybe we come back to touch the top of this candle here. And that, if we do that and we continue going upward, that's still nice and bullish. That's great. On the 4 hour, all right, 4 hour, that 924 point, that still looks, that has some interest to it. Right? We're at all-time highs, so there's no reason to look higher because there's nothing to our left. So I'm just looking left on the lower side, saying, well, right now, there isn't any indication to generally short. I mean, you can short in the sense of scalping, but overall, we want to simplify this and look for longs. So I like 946, 940 right in here. We'll drop down to the 1 hour. This is where it gets a little bit more interesting for me because I short-term scalp. I'm only in the trade for a few minutes at a time. We did have some nice resistance here. It looks like on Thursday. Blew right past it and never retested it. So 923 has some very solid interest to me. And then keeping halfway through this here at about 29,000. So 28,940, 29,000. Also 29,000, great psychological number. Again, we blew right through it. I imagine there was some level of shorts that probably got squeezed out, being that they tried to play, I'd say on the retail side, probably tried to play that psychological number for a quick short, and it never stopped. On the 15, this is where if I can find an area to even put a box, I'll go ahead and I'll put that box in, and then that will show up on my 1 minute time frame. So we'll do that now. So areas of interest. Right? This basically means I don't pay that much attention to the charts until these boxes are hit. So this could be of interest to me today. I hide that. And, probably at the beginning of this right here. So yesterday's low a day, that's a nice interesting point there. Also, it was just that immediate takeoff. So this might get retested. These points here, these could get retested. And we stopped here, but we didn't really pull back. We just sort of consolidated for a minute and grinded all the way up to the end of the day. So up here, this might be consolidation and go, but I'll just kind of mark that off a little bit. And that's about it. I mean, I guess we're at 29.3. I mean, could we get the 28.6? Anything's possible, I suppose, but we have an old resistance, support, and some rough support here. So we'll add one more down here. And that'll be good. All right, so now when I'm on the 1 minute today, right, it looks like major areas of interest are pretty far down for me to see big reactions. And then, of course, we have our consolidation / resistance in the Friday late session, overnight session on the weekend. So those are going to be big moves. Those are going to be really interesting reactions where I could potentially size up. I'm looking for big volume reactions on there where I'd be holding the trade probably a lot longer. And that I may not see today. So what else could I do to try to look for a trade, especially when I'm only trading for about an hour a day? So in that case, I can use all of my Friday lines as potential small scalps, right? If we sweep the overnight low, if this opens, and this is still the overnight low, we're in an uptrend, we could get a liquidity sweep here. And if we sweep the overnight high, right, we could easily get maybe a liquidity sweep there. I probably wouldn't short anything in here necessarily, and I wouldn't be super excited to go long unless I saw something very stable. But I will say this doesn't look interesting to me. So from high of day to point of control, I don't think I want to try to fight this mess. I try to really get into a trade where there seems to be what I'd say a void of candle action, and I feel a bit more confident, especially if it starts speeding up in that void from the left. So, I mean, there's still stuff down here, right? You've got support, 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 and support. So I wouldn't be excited to even try to short or necessarily long this, but I would be a lot more excited with this was just a grind up. If we lost overnight low and we started seeing the tape speed up, I could absolutely see trying the target value area low, right? Not a big contract. I would either, on the 100K accounts, I'd probably use a half contract, maybe one. And on the 50K accounts, I'd probably only use 3 micros. And then if we are to continue our bullish trend and we come back up and we show support on the weekly value area high, the daily high over this resistance area, and we consolidate and go, fantastic. Like, we'll just keep going. I'll just target 10s and 20s and double zeros and see how far we can take it. But all I want to do is really just try to simplify it. So whenever I'm looking at this screen and I think, oh, you know what, I can't really tell what the hell's going on, I just take it all off. And then I can easily look and say, okay, let's stay out of this mess. We can go up to the 5. It's a little bit more clear, right? This is just one big area of consolidation. And we have plenty of room to retest down to low. I mean, you can short to the retest or you can wait for the retest. If it's trying to make its way to retest areas lower in the hour that I trade, I'll probably try to scalp some shorts. Now, if it can get down here, either before we open or maybe around 12 o'clock, where I don't normally trade at lunchtime, and then I come back at 1 o'clock in the afternoon maybe to see what's going on, and we're getting some good price action coming off of these retests, I'll be very interested in taking longs again. And so whenever I'm just really not sure what direction, I just kind of keep going up until I can find some really good clarity. And I just think it's really simple right now. Sort of stay out of this meatiness, this choppiness, let it get out of this range, find its direction, and then go. Unless you want to range play it, right? If you want to range play it, then really you want to start buying longs around 29,246, and I would sell around 350. I mean, that's plenty. That's 100 points right in there. You just never know when it's going to break out of that. It does seem like the market, it finds equilibrium, but it always seeks to find new liquidity. So eventually it is going to just break out of this. And I sometimes can play ranges pretty well, but oftentimes, or at least I don't know, some good percent of the times, I feel like I just lose on the range. Like I'll buy the bottom of it, expecting to go up, and that's the point at which it craters on me so fast that I can't even keep up. I often have between a mental stop and probably 2 times the normal size of a stop just to get it in, and I have had those hit or my mental stop blown out before I can even put it in place. So I'm just a little bit careful. If I do range play, I definitely don't range play early in the morning. I'll range play usually in the afternoon when volume starts to die down. I am looking for lower volume, so overnight sessions a good time, or that it's sort of 12 o'clock to 1:30 time frame I might range play. Other than that, I'm trying to look for trends and look for where liquidity wants to go next, and then capitalize on that movement toward the next liquidity spot. And then ideally, if I can get to the liquidity spot, that's the best point. Those are where those boxes are. Those are those points of interest where you want it to hit that box. You want to see something happen, whether it be on Bookmap, on the level 2 on your tape. You want to see that volume kick in, big candles, big engulfers, and you want to run with that. And ideally, if the setup is right and you've got enough confluences, that's when I'll try to double up and really capitalize on that movement. And that's all I got today. Last week was a pretty solid week. I've been trading just one account at a time instead of trying to copy trade. And I actually feel like my trading has been stronger this week. So if it continues that way by the end of the month, I'll start tacking on more trades or more accounts and then copy trading, 2, 3, 4 up to 5 between Apex and Take Profit Trader right now. So any questions, feel free to comment. I'm still building this channel and still really new at it. And so I'm happy to answer anything or go into more detail with anything that I've said. And I'm just hoping that what I can pass along to you helps you avoid some of the pitfalls that I've taken in my trading time here for the past few years. So I wish you luck today. I'll see you tomorrow. We'll see how those boxes turned out.